Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I have a custom that I've been wanting to do for a while, or a doll that I've been wanting to use for a custom for a while. So if you guys are familiar with Monster High, then you may know the Frightmare line. If you guys aren't familiar with Monster High, the Frightmare line is a line of dolls that are kind of like if Monster High and My Little Pony had a really unfortunate baby, that would be the Frightmare line. They're like these little pony Monster High doll hybrids that can't stand by themselves. For the longest time, I thought that these dolls were just like really hideous. They're just strange looking, okay? They're just very strange. But then I saw AAA Kid on Instagram. I will link them down below. They put one of the heads from these dolls on a Monster High body, and it looked so good, like so proportional and just awesome. And I was like, I want to do that. So I picked one up off Amazon, and here we are today. So I am going to be putting this Frightmare doll on a Twyla body. Now, this is not an exact match, but listen, I have like 400 Twylas, and I need to do something with some of them, okay? I should go full Sid from Toy Story and just put this Twyla head on the Frightmare body and just make an abomination. Why not? So we're starting with the basics of prepping the doll. I heat up the head with a blow dryer to pop the head off. And as you can see, I already cut down the neck peg that Twyla had so that the Frightmare head would fit on the body. So I know her face and her body, again, they don't match. She just has like dark foundation on, it's okay. But doesn't that look so good? Like the proportions of this doll? It looks so dang good. I was actually thinking about keeping her hair how it is, but the hairdryer melted it, so we're gonna have to give her new hair. This head is so tiny, like so tiny. I cut all the hair off, and then I threw her head in hot water for a little bit just to make it so that the glue was easy to like loosen up when I went through the neck hole with my screwdriver. I scrape the inside of the head with the screwdriver, and then I go in through the neck hole with needle nose pliers to get all the hair gunk out. With 100% acetone, we just do the usual of taking the paint off. Her tiny sculpt on her tiny face is so cute. Like, I think I've mentioned this before, but I love tiny things, and tiny dolls are just like, I don't know, I have a very soft spot in my heart for tiny dolls. But I painted her head purple to match the hair that I'm going to be giving her. So I got some hair off AliExpress like a little bit ago, and I wanted to finally give it a try on a doll with rerooting. It's like $1 on there, and you get what you pay for. Like, it's definitely hair that you can use. It's just takes a little bit more work. I'm used to using like the Doll Planet hair, and yeah, I don't know, I guess I didn't know how good of quality that is until I used this. It's just very plasticky. So I rerooted the doll with it, and then I boil washed it a bunch of times because it was really hard to get it to stay in place, and it had a ton of like just flyaways and like hair. So once I was done boil washing it, I actually had to straighten it with my hair straightener a couple times because it was just like a mess. It was like a poofy, ratty nest on her head, and it just took quite a bit of work. But if you're a baller on a budget with dollar painting, I mean, this stuff's $1 and it works okay if you kind of finagle it a little bit. So do I think it's worth it? I mean, I don't regret buying it. It's definitely not my hair of choice, but they have really cool colors and you get a ton of hair. Hair aside, I spray the doll 3 times with Mr. Super Clear, and then it's on to the face up. So I always start with the eyes. I just think that they're kind of like the most important part of a face up because it's one of the main features that you're actually drawing on the face, you know, because like the nose is sculpted, the mouth is sculpted. Sometimes the eyes are sculpted, but it's never like too detailed. So yeah, I would start with the eyes. I tried to get them as detailed as I normally would with, you know, normal Monster High size heads. But this doll's head was like so incredibly tiny, and I know I keep saying that, but like really it was so tiny, and I loved repainting it because it was so tiny, but it was a little bit more difficult than a normal Monster High or Ever After High head because it's like a fraction of the size, and because of that I had a harder time getting in all the details that I like to. If you guys didn't know, I haven't mentioned this recently, I wear magnifying spectacles when I repaint dolls. That's what that thing is in the right corner, the white thing that like pops up sometimes. I wear magnifying spectacles. If you don't have any, I would recommend getting some because it just makes it quite a bit easier to like see the face. If you're someone like me where you have to have the face kind of close to your face when you're drawing. I'll link the magnifying glasses that I wear down below if you guys are interested in picking them up. You can also, people have told me that they wear reading glasses and those do the same thing. So I guess you could just get those from like your local pharmacy as well. I shade around the outer portion and the inner portion of the top lid as well as on top of or like above the lid crease. I leave the middle of the top lid blank to create a sort of highlight effect. Hi, hello, I love veins. I mention this in like every single video. So I'm adding veins around the eyes and on the forehead. You guys may have noticed earlier that I put a peach watercolor pencil on the waterline. I like to layer a nude colored watercolor pencil on top of that just to dull it down a little bit. I rarely mention this, but this is actually the first layer that I do of the doll's face up. So this is like the amount of detail that I can get to where I have to go in and spray another coat of Mr. Super Clear. Basically with Mr. Super Clear, if you can't layer up any more detail or any more colors, that's when you should go in and spray another layer. For the eyebrows, she has such a sweet face mold that I feel like kind of doesn't really go with what this doll is, because I guess this doll's like kind of like a little demon thing, isn't it? Like, I think that's really cool, but she has a really sweet face mold, so I wanted to kind of lend to that with giving her straight eyebrows. And I always go in for eyebrows, I first go in with pastels just to get the general shape, and I clean it up with a kneaded eraser, and then I individualize the hair with a colored pencil, and later I go in with paint on top of the colored pencil just to make them look a little bit more intense. But there's 3 different steps to it. taking a dark purple colored pencil, I deepen up the eyelid creases and the lip creases and just kind of like the general creases around the face. At this point, I'm adding the most intense highlights with white watercolor to the face. I like to add highlights with white watercolor because you can take watercolor off, whereas with acrylic, it's kind of, I mean, unless you act really fast, it's sort of a bit harder to get off, whereas watercolor, you just go in with like water on a Q-tip and you can rub it away. She's a sweet little demon baby, and sweet little demon babies need highlights too, so I'm adding Pearl X powders all over her face. I really enjoy giving my dolls metallic pupils, and I either do this with my metallic watercolors or I do it with Pearl X pigments and a Q-tip. Lately I've been preferring Pearl X pigments because it gives a bit of a softer look. A specific difficulty that I had with this doll was getting the like super tiny highlights that I like to get in the eyes. I mean, I think her eyes ended up looking okay, but my brush just felt so big when I was adding these in. With my Vallejo gloss varnish, I put some gloss on her lips. I also add it to the eyes, but I don't do that until after I'm done taking photos because the glossiness in the eyes just makes it so it's hard to like capture all the details on the irises. Now on to clothes. So the look that we're going for is pastel demon lady. So I am sewing her a halter top out of lace. I wanted this to be a really like roughly halter top, so I gather stitched a bunch of strips of lace and sewed them to the bottom of the halter top. I also wanted to give her some shorts, so I hemmed the top and the bottom of each piece of the shorts, and then I sewed the front of the shorts together at the crotch, and I sewed the back of the shorts together at the bottom of the butt area. This outfit has like so much ruffly lace in it. I gather stitched some more of that lace and sewed it to the bottom of the shorts, the front and the back. I also took a bit of the sequin ribbon and I sewed that to the top of the shorts. For the back of the shorts, I folded these two pieces together. I folded them and then I sewed them in place in kind of the shape of a triangle, and this is where the clasps are going to be. I wanted the shorts to have like a bloomer thing going on, so I forced ruffles into the shorts by sewing them in place from the inside, and I did that by pinching the fabric together and sewing that. We're almost done, woo! So I sew up the side seams of both sides of the shorts. The last steps for sewing these shorts is that I sew up the leg holes together, the front and the back of the leg holes. I think you guys know what I mean, like the crotch area. And I also sew clasps onto the back of the shorts. Alright, so this next step is kind of strange, but I was like, you know, it'd be really cute if her halter top had like suspenders, like a suspender effect happening, or like a harness kind of effect happening. So that's what I was going for. I don't know if I pulled it off, but I sewed this ribbon in place on the halter top and also on the shorts. And then I also took some hot glue and I hot glued a pearl so that it looks like it has like a little button where the ribbon attaches to the shorts. And then I was like, you know what her shorts need? They need bows, because they just needed something more to add to just the extraness of this outfit. So I hot glued some bows onto her shorts. I hot glued some ribbon onto her top so that she could have like a neck ribbon happening, that she could like tie the ribbon around her neck. Here's her finished outfit in all of its frilly goodness. She looks like a dang cake. On to body blushing. I blushed her body with basically the same tones that I used in her face, so pinks, purples, blues. I should have incorporated more blue onto her body blushing because her face still doesn't match her body. She has like a very dark foundation on. Sorry about that. But after blushing the body, I put the head back on the body. And I love it. Like, I love these proportions. Even though I put in a lot of work with the hair, her hair, like the ends were just still looking kind of ratty, so I had to give it a trim. The original Frightmare doll came with these really cool like bone wings that I just wanted to put on this doll as well. So I cut this little back piece off so that it would lay flush with her back, and then I painted the tips pink. And I also put a metallic pink paint on top of them just so it would go with her whole like pastel demon look that she had going on. I also painted the tips of her horns with the metallic pink paint because it's cute. The shoes that I decided to give her are the shoes that came with Twyla, because it's one of the only shoes that I have that fit on the smaller Monster High bodies, so I painted those pink and purple. To get the wings to stay in place, I put some hot glue down first, and then I put the wings on, and I went around the wings with some epoxy glue so that the wings would be pretty durable. Like, they're probably not coming off unless, like, I don't know, you drop the doll or something, maybe they would pop off. But yeah, epoxy glue is pretty sturdy. The hair was still like a little bit unruly, so I took this gel and I put some of that on top of the hair, and it kind of tamed the flyaways. Something that I did that I just really don't recommend after this is I wanted to style the hair so that there was like a front piece wrapped around her horn, and I hot glued the hair in place, and it looked kind of bad. So I don't recommend doing this. I actually had to hot glue a pearl on her head to kind of like cover up the hot glue a little bit, because I made a mistake. So yeah, but this is the finished doll. I hope you guys like her. I love her tiny little head. Tell me what you guys think about her tiny little head. Do you guys like these, like, in comparison with the normal Monster High, like their big old heads? I mean, I still love their big old heads. I still want to paint more like big old Monster High headed dolls, but it's just really cool seeing a Monster High doll with a head that's like proportional to her body. And by the way, I know that I can like shrink a head and it'll be smaller, but there's just something exciting about putting one of those like just really unfortunate frightmare dolls on top of a Monster High articulated body, and it feels like a completely different doll, or at least in my opinion. By the way, my husband said that this doll is a Tiefling from D&D. I don't play D&D, but he's like obsessed with it, so I guess this doll is also a Tiefling pastel demon. That's cool. Let me know what you guys think about her down below. Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe, it makes me happy. Stay safe. And I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Bye.